Wow. This is just getting better and better, guys. Wow. Deep Blue Sea all day. It's better than the Meg.
On IMDb, the Meg has a 5.7 and Deep Blue Sea criminally has a 5.9, which it's ridiculous that it's so low, but it's better than the Meg. So
how funny would it have been? So there's a moment in this scene where Sam Jackson, all the people are leaving, and he's like, yeah, they would probably.
They probably hate you too.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh yeah, they probably hate you too. What if every single crew member just walked by and gave him a shoulder? Like the 30 people just bump into him, and that's a scene.
As the boat goes away, there's just this row of people flipping the bird at him. Every single person on the boat.
All 30 walk into him and bump into him. They push him in the water.
This is for you.
Yeah. Yeah, just flipping him off, bumping into him. Someone takes his bag.
I think knocking him into the water is probably going a little too far, given that we know the sharks aren't going to eat him at this point.
All right, so I like that. I guess you don't want to have 30 people bumping into Russell Franklin.
Well, if they choreographed it, so it was always like one to the left, one to the right, so he didn't get pushed too far. It was just kind of jostled back and forth. That could work.
Now, I have another question, because I know both of you paid attention to all 30 of the dancers on the boat. I want you guys to rank all 30 of the dancers that were on that boat.
Oh, it's a tough one. I like the guy in the orange shirt and the white hat, who's kind of almost like in a conductor position. He's like on the far left, so he's like above everyone else. He stands out to me. And then there's the guy in the white jacket on the far right, who's really going for it. As he's almost like blocking the entrance of people getting onto the boat. He's like in this white jacket, matching trousers. So he's come from the set of Miami Vice with his like purple t-shirt underneath. He's going for it. There are some people who are just hanging around going like, why is everyone dancing? That's the me, I think. Or this doing the ultimate dad dancing of standing perfectly still, just kind of pumping the arms a little bit.
Like a couple two steps here and there.
Yeah. That's kind of my limit. So
got it.
If we talk about relatable, then they're top of the list. That's where I am.
I'd be dancing. I wouldn't be the two guys you said, but I'd be somewhere in the middle, I would say. Probably that's about it.
What about you, Doug? Are you a dancer? You happy to get off Aquatica?
There seems to be a guy in a black t-shirt that's just kind of swaying his arms back and forward. That's probably me.
I'm joining in, but don't.
Yeah.
I'm not being a party pooper, but I'm not gonna.
You just gotta be careful of not really going for it, because if you really go for it, you fall in, and there's all this excitement for 5 minutes, and then you have an hour ride back home. And so it's just, you don't want to start super high on this dance because you won't have any momentum for the ride home. So I think you guys are right with just the arm sways.
You got to keep your spirits up a little bit, but not get completely flat out.
Although on closer inspection, I think he's actually helping put bags on the boat as well. So it's kind of a dance / helping out move in one kind of thing.
Hey, that's efficient. If you can look like you're dancing whilst actually helping, that's
exactly.
the sweet spot.
That's impressive.
There's the mashed potato, and then there's the pass the bag. It's a 90s dance move. Stow the cargo.
Oh yeah. Do the fishing reel, the shopping cart.
The shopping cart.
Yeah.
I'm not down with your lingo, Mark. I don't know what you're talking about.
Terrible. So it's like, all right, so you're in a grocery store.
Yes, please explain.
You're in a grocery store. Just think that there's really tight aisles in this grocery store. And so you're in a convenience store and you have a cart. And so
I'm mimicking this.
You have both of your hands on the buggy or the cart.
Yep.
You don't have a basket.
Okay.
And you go out with your left hand, you grab some chips, you throw it into the bag. You go out with your right hand, you grab some salsa, you put it in the cart. You go out with your left hand, you grab something else, you put it in the cart. So it's just kind of going back and forth like you're pushing a cart.
I just knocked over a stack of DVDs by doing that. So good.
So that's the shopping cart right there.
Nice. Yep. I've learned a dance move. It finally happened.
And the Deep Blue Sea is just when you're pretending like you're swimming. It's like you know those dance moves.
Okay.
Or put a shark fin on your head.
I've got a long way to go before we talk about that.
Well, I want a full dance by the time. We have plenty of weeks, so Jay, I want you to plan something out for video.
Oh, no. Video? No, this is an audio medium. I have a face for podcasting.
Let's see, anything else to cover on this?
Just checking my notes, and I think we didn't talk about Mikey Rapp enough. Well, actually, when he's talking when Scoggins is talking to Carter and he calls him Deadeye, first time I watched it, I thought he called him Jedi.
Whoa.
And I thought, that's odd. He's talking about how he's missed his shot, so shouldn't he be calling him like a stormtrooper? But no, he calls him Deadeye, which I think is an odd phrase. I looked up what a Deadeye is, and it's an item used in the standing and running rigging of traditional sailing ships. Nothing to do with shooting accuracy. It's just a small, round, thick wooden disc with some holes in it. So I don't know if he's going like dead shot kind of thing, like someone who just is a really good shot and is uncharacteristically missed in this instance. But Deadeye seems like a really weird insult, or I didn't really get what he was saying.
Yeah, interesting.
Just picked up on that one word.
That'd be funny if Carter just goes, "Excuse me."
What do you mean by that?
You know what I do like is that you are reestablishing the gun again in this, and you're reestablishing the fact that it's out on the boat and that it's out there. So I guess that scene is good to see, and he's on top of his gear. Carter Blake is.
It was established in the first chapter as like how to use it, and then they've brought it back here, and then this is where it is. It's up here. Remember that for several months' time when we get back to it. It'll be important soon. Eventually.
Scogg's a good man. I like him.
Okay. I like the performance. I like the kind of comedic relief he offers at times, but there was no way he was going to survive this film.
No. I wish he would have. That would have been really weird. Just Scoggins and Janice at the end as a survivor.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Well, Doug, do you want to talk about anything that happens in the later scenes?
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't want to spoil anything that you're going to discuss later on, but obviously, I think when you first said I was discussing this scene, I was like, oh, okay, nothing much happens in this scene, but then there's a lot of foreshadowing in this scene for things later to come, and it kind of, there is a lot of exposition and a lot of setup for some things, even something sort of as innocuous as the line about Thomas Jane's character being a poor shot. Then that kind of comes later on when he's trying to shoot the escaping shark, and he shoots LL Cool J through the leg or whatever. Like, there's a lot of those sort of little details that then you guys will be discussing later on, and that the sharks are getting smarter, that they found a way to get out, that they're how high are the fences, even just the storm coming, that when Brenda's talking about the storm on its way, and that the crew's all going home, so there's no one else there. There's actually so much detail in this scene for everything else that's to come later on, which I didn't get until I kind of watched the scene a couple of times. It was like, oh, okay, this is really establishing a lot of this movie in just a short 2 minutes. So I was actually quite impressed with that.
That's it. See, most of the guests who we've asked to be on and said, like, what scene do you want? They've said, that death, or that death, or that action sequence. But there's so much to discuss in the setting up and the exposition sequences. Originally, when Mark and I first planned this, we were going to break the film down into deaths, into like chunks. So the first chunk of which would end in a few chapters' time. So the first like 25, 30 minutes would be one episode. And we've already been talking for about 4 hours on this film. So that would have been like a 7-hour episode. So I'm glad we didn't. We kind of deviated away from that plan. But I just have to throw in a quick correction that it's LL Cool J who shoots Carter in the leg.
Sorry.
It's absolutely fine. I just the fans will be rabid if we don't mention that. And if anything, it's kind of setting up. Here. Maybe the spear gun is difficult to fire. It's difficult to aim exactly at your target. But then LL Cool J has got a very difficult shot at that point. It's a very long way away. He's trying to hit. And we have no idea of his prowess with a spear gun prior to his work on Aquatica. Maybe that's why he was hired. We haven't even met Preachy yet, so we can't even talk about it.
What a great scene, though. Just, oh man, shoots through the fin and into his leg. It's beautiful.
26-foot shark.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay, well if that's all we have for chapter 4, then we'll call it a day. So Doug, where can the listeners find you? Find your stuff online?
You can find me over at The Jam Report, which is thejamreport.com.
What kind of thing do you do over there?
It's mostly just, new release reviews. Obviously that's difficult at the moment. We're getting there. we're getting some interesting things on VOD and streaming. So that's my focus at the moment. So I don't know when the podcast will go up, but I've got my review for Hamilton, which is on Disney Plus, and I'll have reviews of Greyhound and Palm Springs as well soon, which were both theatrical releases, which are going straight to streaming instead.
Very nice. And you recently covered every Disney animated film during lockdown, which was very interesting.
During lockdown, 58 days, 58 films, 58 pieces. Exhausting.
I know there is some crossover in the Venn diagrams of Deep Blue Sea fans and Disney fans because I'm in that crossover.
I'm sure.
So some listeners may be interested in that. Great. Well, as always, you can find more of my writings at lifeversusfilm.com, or I'm over on the Lambcast and at the large association of movie blogs, largeassmovieblogs.com. If you have a film blog or podcast, then come join us. And Mark, where can the listeners find more of your work?
Oh, geez Louise. Go to moviesfilmsandflicks.com, movies, films, and flicks, FLIX.com. Also listen to the Movies, Films, and Flicks podcast. Go check out the stuff I write on Rotten Tomatoes. Also go to Rotten Tomatoes on YouTube. You can watch all the Versus videos. So I pull the research on that. The Versus videos are a lot of fun. And then I just have articles all over the place. Go look up Jacked Up. I came up with a fake Adam Sandler movie that people seem to like. That seemed real popular. Oh, just look up Lundgren's Front Kick on Reddit. It's all over the place. Yeah, and then just listen to this podcast and share it. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and you can follow the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Deep Blue Sea Pod. So do that, and we're going to come back next week when we're going to talk about a floppy disk. Something to look forward to. So, as for today's show, I've been Jake Lewitt.
Mark Hoffmeyer.
And thank you to Doug Jamison.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.